Alright, so let's now review the different types of recon activities and what categories they fall down into. Okay, so on a passive recon side, we see that there is a lot of stuff we already do in our day-to-day life. Okay, so passive recon or open source intelligence, as it now it's a more favorable, I guess, name by the media right now, because it's done by many entities throughout the world, and that's fantastic how much very sensitive stuff you can dig out of very open, basically public systems. Okay, so Bellingcat, for example, it's an excellent example of investigative journalism. The guys use absolutely open information sources in order to track down very sensitive, very confidential, sometimes even classified activities of national forces. Right, so that's you can Google about what Bellingcat are and what they can do with open source intelligence. The results are really fascinating. What can we do using this tactic during the penetration test? That's anything related to what have already been published or what have already been registered somewhere. That can be a data that is published intentionally by people, or that can be data that has leaked somehow, has been leaked by someone, or it just is there, and it's not controlled by the person or the system or the company that this data is about, but it's anyway available and can be collected. So this in general is normally called internet footprint, because this is what we leave after us when we use internet resources. So we can use search engines, of course, to use the keywords we already have from the scope definition in order to find people or systems or websites or web services, mobile applications, or even mentions in the media, to figure out more and to have some leads about where to search and what to look for. And we have this very fascinating stuff, social media, that is full of various data about people and companies. Depending on what your favorite social media website is, you can find a lot of people's personal life, or the place they visit, or the people they usually interconnect with, their friends, relatives, close ones, and of course the companies they work in and the stuff we do. That's by itself, these granular pieces of information may not be very sensitive, but when combined in large amounts, they can give us an idea about how to generalize over them. So this principle of inference of very specific sensitive data out of large amounts of general insensitive data works here as well. So sometimes even client websites directly showcase the data we can use in further attacks. For example, if it's a if, let's say, it's a very respected consulting company, it's a, I don't know, law firm or security consultancy that values their people, their professionals very much, and they showcase them at their website. So even the websites by themselves already contain names, contacts, sometimes even phone numbers. Yeah, you can find out at least the people you can connect in order to know more or to execute a social engineering attacks already. Okay, there is also this very interesting thing called metadata. If you're not familiar with the term, I will try to explain it as the data about data. Okay, so it's not the contents of the file, it's the properties of the file. For example, when you put something into a Word document, it may be insensitive, it may be some gibberish, but if you save this document, you leave the track of what is the version of the software the file has been created in, okay? What is the timestamp of its creation, what is the username who created it, and even the paths on file servers where it's stored. Okay, so all this can be very interesting to an attacker in many ways. Job search websites are really interesting for two reasons. First of all, the information on job search websites published by companies' recruiters can let us precisely construct a pretext for a social engineering attack, to create a CV of a guy who would be who this company would definitely like to hire, and in this way at least get to the interview. And once you're in, you can do a lot of different nasty stuff. You can bait by USB drives, you can drop payloads on generally acceptable systems, you can, I don't know, leave access points open and so on. Of course, there are these mailing lists and user groups and web forums where people discuss different things, sometimes related to what they do. I think now it's not very popular, but back in the day you could find all sorts of different sensitive information in mailing lists. And the bad thing about it, it's without help of people who moderate or administer them, you cannot remove anything. And if even if you remove that, if you succeed in that, you still will have a search engine cache for some period of time. And even if the search cache expires, you will have archive.org that might have a snapshot of this page for forever, basically. Okay.